Hello, this is the Kima Channel Man, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit today about fishing blade baits, primarily the Slice by 6 cents, and then also the SteelShad. I get tons of questions about fishing both of these baits, the Slice by 6 cents and the SteelShad. But one of the things, or really the most important things to remember when fishing these baits, is you want to make short cast and allow that bait to drop on a slack line, because having that bait drop on a slack line is really one of the primary keys to catching fish on this bait. If you make a real long cast, when you pick that bait up off the bottom, it actually picks it up like this, and it doesn't fall like a dying shad. If you've ever watched a dying shad, you know they flutter and they fall like this. They don't make fast movements, and so you want to use a steady motion, let it drop on a slack line on a short cast. You pick your rod tip up and drop it back down so it'll drop straight to the bottom on a slack line. And what happens is when you pick that bait up through the fish, when it falls back down, they follow it down and they pin it to the bottom. The other thing that's real critically important is to use a 7'6" moderate medium action rod with a fast tip that allows that bait to engage and start vibrating as soon as you pick up on the rod tip. If you use too heavy of a rod, it really changes the action of this bait. Also, monofilament line. You do not want to use braid when using a blade bait. When you use braid has no stretch. Even if you put a monofilament leader, it still changes the action enough to where it will eliminate probably 30 to 40% of your bites. So you want to fish this on monofilament line, 7'6", medium, moderate, fast tip rod. I like to throw 17-pound Suffix Pro Mix series line. This is what I use most of the time. But once again, when you're fishing the SteelShad or the Slice, I like to use 3/8 ounce or ½ ounce, but you'll notice that the SteelShad has an elongated profile. The Slice has a more compact profile. So you'll want to have both types of these baits, because sometimes they don't want that elongated, big, wide wobble. They want something a little more tight. So you just have to experiment, but both of these are incredible baits and you'll catch a lot of fish. So the keys, once again, don't make long casts. You want to make casts 15 to 30 feet out so your bait can drop on a slack line. And then just pick your rod tip up and drop it and let it fall on a slack line. If you make a long cast, once again, when you start ripping, if you rip that bait, it rips it past the fish. It doesn't look natural. It doesn't look like a dying bait fish. You need to pick it slowly, drop your rod tip immediately, let it fall, and they'll follow it to the bottom, bam, and they'll crush it. I hope these tips help you. Pick yourself up a Slice by 6 cents and a SteelShad, 3/8 ounce SteelShad, ½ ounce Slice. Colors really doesn't matter, and I hope you'll have great success with them. Thanks for watching. In closing, what you really need to keep in mind when fishing the SteelShad or the Slice is, remember, fish are a lot like members of Congress. They're lazy, they don't like to do a lot of work, and they're always looking for an easy, free meal. So you want to fish slowly, make sure you look like the meal is dying so it's easy prey. So just keep that in mind. Fish are a lot like members of Congress. Lazy, and they don't want to work hard, and they're always looking for an easy, free meal. If you keep that tip in mind, you'll be highly successful in catching fish. Good luck to you.